Today we're diving into one of the most underrated grails in UFC card history. It is Amanda Nunes' first ever auto. We'll break down the pop report, print run, how it stacks up against her true rookie, and why I think this card might be one of the most slept on grails in the entire UFC space. And check out this 2014 Topps knockout, Amanda Nunes. This is the first auto. We have the sweet first auto badging that I hope Topps will eventually bring back. This is her first auto, right? This is an on-card auto. And I think this card is really slept on, man. I mean, it is an awesome card. Talking about images, like this is a super awesome image, super intense. You get to see the lioness stalking before she gets a destructive finish. On-card auto, right? Also, first auto badging, as we mentioned, and of 149. And we'll talk about the pop report here in a little bit. But the rarity of these older cards, man, very slept on in my opinion, and just a really nice card. Let's check out the back also. And I got this recently on eBay. Now these 2014s, right? They generally don't grade well, and it was the same with a lot of the Habibs too. So there definitely is some damage here. But overall, man, this card is actually not too bad. It's not too bad, and I'm going to send this in to get graded. Once we go over the pop reports, you'll kind of I'll talk through kind of why I'm getting this graded, even though it does have some damage on it. But the actual auto looks pretty solid. Like, you guys in the comments, let me know. Personally, I think that's probably going to 10, but you guys let me know your opinions on that. I would hope that, maybe I could get at least a 7. 8 would be sick on this. 8 would be sick. I don't know if it's going to get a 9 just because of the edge wear back here, and then these corners on the back. Whoops, sorry, hit the camera. But pretty solid altogether, and an absolutely sick image of the card. So I think this image is sick. But also another thing that I know about this card is it is of 149, right? And let's check out some of the print run details of this. And this is the exact same copy as the Habib first auto, right? And I did a lot of research on that. So this is going to be exactly the same. And it is a huge reason why I wanted to get this. And I think it's going to be a really big card long term, right? Like if we check this out, we have the red ink of 15, we have the red of 8, and we have the 1 of 1. And then we also have the base, which is the one I have, right? Which is of 149. So when you look at all those, there's only 173 different parallels in this print run. That is very low, man, comparatively to even a lot of the autos from 2009, right? Like if we look at round 1, there is a ton of base autos in that. I think the print run in this product and in this auto specifically is just very low. And obviously, supply and demand, if we have a low supply, we're going to have more demand long term. And to just kind of put in perspective the pricing of some of these different parallels in these cards, we'll check those out real quick. First, we have the red ink, right? And this is an all-time sale, 4,127 of hers back in 2022. Again, this is the of 15 red ink. We've got another sale in 2024, around 3,000. And then another one a little bit after that, about 2638. So, I mean, those are big sales, right? But when you're talking about, this is probably the best card Amanda Nunes has. And you're talking about an of 15 red ink parallel with, an inscription on it with the lioness. Pretty sick, man. And to only be around, 25, 3,000, somewhere in there is, honestly, I think that's probably a pretty good buy as well. And now let's look at the base version. And this is going to be the card that I have, right? The of 149 parallel. And we've got a raw here that sold for $828 back in 2022. Pretty good sale there. We got a BGS 726. We got another raw 688. PSA 8 650, and these are all in 2024, and we got another 650 here. PSA 8 auto 10 600. We got 600 here earlier in the year. Best offer. We got another raw 600. So you're looking, about 500 to 800 for one of these, and the one I got this for $535, which I think is a pretty good deal. I think it's a fair price for what it is. And even at that price, I think this should be much more. So when I'm trying to determine, can this card be like an all-time card? Is this going to stand the test of time? What is the rarity of these? Can we find like a little deviation in the market on people maybe, sleeping on a card based on rarity or based on the accolades of the fighter? I think this card meets all of that criteria, man. And really, the pop reports and the actual print run of this card are the reason that I think this card is so awesome and so undervalued. I mean, you're talking about when we look at PSA on the pop reports, we've got 23 graded, right? You got 3 9s, 10 8s, 5 7s. And I'm hoping that when I grade this, it can land in that 7 or 8 range. I don't know if it has what it takes to get a 9. Maybe it does. It depends on how nice the grader is that day. We'll also check out Beckett on the grading, and 1 has been graded with Beckett. and we'll check out the SGC. We've got 2 graded with SGC. So in total, man, we're talking about 23 graded with PSA, 1 graded Beckett, 2 graded SGC. There's only 26 of these that have been graded, dude. So I know I wanted an Amanda Nunes card, and my 2 favorite things to collect are the True Rookie and the First Auto, right? And so when determining which one of those I wanted to go after, I checked out the optics of each, and then I checked out, the print run of each, and then the grade report of each, and tried to determine what do I think looks the best, and then what may have, the most collectability long term, and what do I think is like the rarest of those 2. And, obviously you can't go wrong with either of those. They're super nice, super big cards. But when I was looking at the True Rookie parallel run, we have of 88, 188, of 88, of 8, and 101. And we also have the base card, right? So just of the parallels, that's 285, a 285 total print run of the True Rookie. Now, if you remember, that is, almost double what the print run for all of the First Auto cards were, because the base of 149 is numbered. Now, the True Rookie does have a base card also associated with it. So that is, a much higher print run when you're talking about True Rookie versus First Auto. So in my mind, I was like, okay, this card looks awesome, right? I really like the design. Let's check out the grading report and the print run. Obviously, that is very, very solid on this as well. And then the last thing was like, well, what is the pricing like on this? Is the pricing too low? Is the pricing on point? Is the pricing too high? And in order to determine that, I really wanted to compare it to some other First Autos of Hall of Famers and greats, GOATs, some would say, right? Because Amanda Nunes is the unanimous GOAT. So I was like, well, what does that look like for other potential GOATs in the sport and super popular fighters? And is the Nunes price too low? And so that's what we'll look at right now and kind of determine, do we think that 500-ish price point is too low? Do we think that's on point? Let's see. So we have the John Jones First Auto here, right? And this is on date sold also. So this is like most recent sales, 17, 19, and these are for PSA 9s, right? And then we got 16 here, BGS. We got 1500 PSA 9, 16. And then the raw, let me find a raw one here. 960, no reserve. So you're about 1,000, right? So you're talking about 1,000 to about, what was the PSA 9s were like 1,600, 1,700, somewhere in there. And the print run on these round 2 John Jones are going to be much, much, much higher than the Amanda Nunes First Auto. The other person that I wanted to check out, right, was Khabib cards. And I think this is probably a better comparison because this is the exact same card, right? It's literally the exact same card from the exact same set with the exact same amount of print run. And so we see here that this is going to be a raw, and the raw prices are kind of all over the place, right? So we got $22.50. We got a huge sale, almost 3,000 right here in 2025. We got 3,500 in 2024. We got 2,600. And so now we're comparing the exact same print run, the exact same card, but both of the images are sick too. Like, it's not like the Nunes is, not a compelling image. That is a really good image of her. This is a really good image of Khabib. So I think it is a really good comparison, apples to apples. And we're talking about a $500 card versus a, what was the average there? Like 2,500. And like, again, women's MMA versus male MMA. But what should it be? 50%? Like, to me, it should easily be 50% of the Khabib price when you're talking about unanimous women's GOAT. I'd be hard pressed to find a lot of collectors and a lot of MMA fans who would say Khabib's the GOAT. I think that would be a little disingenuous. And so, man, like, should the Nunes card be like close to 1,000? Should it be 1,100, 1,200 for that extremely low print run? I think there's a compelling case to say that should be the case there. And lastly, we'll talk about GSP, who, some people have in the GOAT conversation, and they should, right? He's an amazing fighter. He accomplished a lot. And we're talking about the round 1 First Auto. And we have this one here for 1,400, right? Really nice image, good card. Obviously, it has the appeal of being a round 1 First Auto too, which is huge. And we're talking about 1,400, 1,500 for that base card. We're talking about 1,125 here. Talking about 1,070, talking about 1,100. And again, we don't know the exact supply of these, right? Like, this was a base card. How many of these were manufactured? But I would guess, and I'm very curious on y'all's opinion on this because it's really speculation, especially in round 1. It's very hard to determine how many of these were actually printed. How many were there? Like 200, 300, so we're talking about the Nunes being a much lower print run than these round 1 cards. Again, women's MMA, men's MMA. If a base auto is going for a GSP is going for 1,500 to 2,000, and to me on the pricing scale, again, the Nunes is a little bit lower than it should be. All right, and lastly, and this is no disrespect to Erin Blanchfield, she is still very young. She's a promising talent. She could end up being, the GOAT of women's MMA, right? Like it's an absolute unknown. We have no idea what the future holds. But I wanted to use her as a comparison because she is very popular. She's a female fighter, and she's also very speculative and hasn't even, gotten to the title yet. So this is a comparison purely to showcase how rare the Nunes auto is in comparison with more modern cards and modern autos, and also to highlight how ridiculously low the pricing for the first auto of the unanimous women's GOAT of MMA is, in my opinion. So first, we're going to showcase the print run of these first auto from Erin Blanchfield, right? And we've got a massive metric ton of cards, just like we would expect from a modern release, right? There's 3 unnumbered parallels: silver, undercard, disco, and green. There is 220 numbered parallels. So there is a pop of 220 plus the 3 unnumbered parallels, which like, who knows, right? So there's probably close to just speculation, obviously, but maybe like 600 to 1,000 of these floating out there. Like, we honestly have no idea. And the pop report for this is pretty big as well. I mean, you got boom, 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 all these, and this is just with PSA, right? All these graded. And there is 153 graded with just PSA, right? So again, to kind of showcase the size of the print run when it comes to modern cards. And then I wanted to compare the pricing, right? So I was like, what's the pricing here of this Erin Blanchfield card? We know that the print run is massive. We know that she really has not accomplished, that much when we talk about when we're comparing to a GOAT like Amanda Nunes, right? And so let's check out some of the pricing. And this is all-time pricing, right? And I'm sure this has changed, but I kind of wanted to use the prospect versus cemented GOAT Hall of Famer here. And so we've got the Mojo selling for $470, auto red $399. It is a PSA 10. But again, when we talk about print run, we've got the 99, we've got, let's go back here. So we've got the 99, the 49, the 25, the 25, the 10, the 101, the 101, the gold of 10. So like just a ton of different parallels whenever you're comparing pricing from vintage to modern. And now here's a pretty nice card though. This is of 10 gold disco first auto for $350. So dude, I mean, you're talking about, I mean, just the print run alone, like I don't see how this card can go for $350. It is an of 10, right? But we have 2 of 10, so that's 20, and then we have 2 101s, that's 22 of a person that is still speculative at this point, that is still a prospect. And again, I feel bad dogging on Blanchfield like that. I'm not saying you shouldn't collect. The point I'm trying to make here is that the pricing, that when you're paying a first auto of Amanda Nunes that has a population that low, the print run is 174 and the pricing is going for 500 compared to a card of somebody who has not achieved much in the sport going for 350, when the total pop of that card and the total print run of that card is astronomical. To me, that is just the proof, man. Like, some of these cards need to be going for better prices. And whenever you're trying to get a bargain deal, I really think the vintage and the cemented Hall of Famers is where, you could potentially double your money with no risk associated at all. And now it is more of a long-term play. Like, I think that's what draws people in with these more speculative rookies, is that based on hype alone, you could potentially, 2 or 3 extra card very, very quickly. But when it comes to, the blue chip stocks, when it comes to the cemented Hall of Fame GOATs, like that, those are not going to lower. And in my opinion, when you find a pricing differential like this Nunes, like that, to me, that's an easy 2x or 3x over time with no risk associated at all. And then obviously I want to have this card long-term. I like long-term plays. I like long-term collecting. And I was like, well, what's the legacy of Nunes? Is that set? What, could that look like in the future? And I think it's an interesting aspect here where when we think of GOATs in any sport, and this goes across any sport, it's rare to have a singular figure that every single person unanimously agrees is the best of all time in that specific domain. The only other person that I can really think of that's like a unanimous GOAT from the vast majority and pretty much everyone in that sport and in those fans is Tom Brady, right? And like 10 years ago, I would have also included Jordan in that category, but you have a lot more people saying LeBron and a lot more of the younger NBA fans and the younger generation saying that LeBron should also be in there. And while you can say that's an incorrect opinion, this is an opinion topic, so we have to take those people into account as well, right? And I think even more for MMA, right? You have in men's MMA, we have like an interchangeable 4 guys, that maybe 5, depending on who you talk to, that could be, you know, the greatest MMA fighter of all time. So there is big contention there. And whenever there is contention on who the GOAT is, that money is going to be split a bunch of different ways. Now, when it is unanimous, like it is right now, and like it could be for a while or forever, that Amanda Nunes is the GOAT, there is really only one person you are going to buy. If you are a collector and you say, I want to buy the best woman of all time, what is her card? You are going to find Amanda Nunes, and that is it. You are not going to find, you know, who's the best MMA fighter for males of all time. You have Anderson Silva, you have John Jones, you have, you know, if you're a Habib fan, you have Habib, you have GSP, maybe Mighty Mouse is in there. Like there's a laundry list of people that you can make compelling arguments in order to be the GOAT. Amanda Nunes is the only correct answer in this topic. And again, that could change in 5 years. Weili goes on a generational run. Maybe at the end of her career, it's close, or she's above Nunes. But Nunes is still fighting, and she's coming back to fight Kayla Harrison. Maybe Kayla Harrison beats Nunes, and she goes on a run. Don't necessarily think that's going to happen because the amount of accolades and the amount of titles she would have to have at her age is probably not going to happen just because she got to the UFC a little bit late. But Amanda Nunes could also beat her and continue her legacy and have even more of a jump. You know, which if she beats Harrison, I think she should even have another jump. Going into retirement, coming back and getting another win and another, you know, belt around your waist is absolutely insane. And I would not be surprised if she has a little bit of a jump if she wins again coming up soon later this year. In my plans for the card, I'm sending this off to get graded at GameStop, like I said earlier. I have a few other cards that I have. You know, the pop report is just so low that, and there's definitely some damage on this, right? It's pretty obvious, but since the pop report's super low, and some of the cards, you know, were graded 6, 7, 8, I think that's kind of, I would be okay with that, right? Now, I would be kind of sad with a 6. It would hurt a little bit, I'm not going to lie. I would honestly probably think about cracking it if it came back a 6. I would be very happy with a 7, and an 8 or a 9 would be absolutely insane, right? I think realistically, this card is probably somewhere in the 7 or 8 range. I think it could get an 8, but you know, it depends on the grader there. If they're super nice, it could be a 9, but I doubt, I don't necessarily think that I see that happening. So I'm really hoping for an 8 that this card will come back as. If you like UFC cards, you're going to like my channel. So check out these videos over here and subscribe for more videos just like this.